Hello everyone, and welcome to the Python Crash Course Exercise Solutions lecture. In this lecture, I'm just going to be working through the Solutions Notebook and explaining the code in the Solutions Notebook. Let's go ahead and jump to the Exercise Notebook so we can actually begin coding this out. Alright, here I am at the Crash Course Exercises. The first question we wanted to answer is, what is 7 to the power of 4? Now there's technically two ways you could have done this. You could have just typed 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 and gotten the correct answer, but hopefully you remember the correct way, which is just calling two asterisks for exponents. So 7 to the power of 4, run that cell, and there's your answer. Next up, we wanted to split this string, s is equal to hi there Sam, into a list. We can go ahead and just grab this, and we can see the example output list we want to actually create there. So if I run s is equal to hi there Sam, and call s.split, this will automatically split the string into a list on the white space. And remember, we can actually pass in a string character for an example to what we actually want to split on, which we actually see that later on in another exercise. Let's go ahead and do the next question, which was, given the variables planet equals Earth and diameter is equal to 12,742, use dot format to print the following string. The diameter of Earth is 12,742 kilometers. I'm going to go ahead and run this cell so we have these two variables defined. And then I will say in a string, the diameter of Earth is 12,742 kilometers. But remember, I want to use dot format and I want to use these two variables. So I will replace Earth with just a pair of curly brackets. And I'll also do the same for this diameter number. Then I'm going to say dot format, and I will pass in planet diameter, and I'll go ahead and print that whole thing. Let's see if this works, and there we have it. I could have also passed in some variable names here, such as a and b, and let's set these equal to a and b, and that's the exact same thing. It's up to you which one you use, but for the first one, you have to make sure it's in the right order. Next up, given this nested list, use indexing to grab the word hello. This is pretty tricky, so you're going to have to take your time with this and start from kind of the inside to the outside. We can see here that we have hello, and that's in a list, and Jupyter Notebook kind of helps you out with the bracket highlighting. Then this is also inside of a list, which is inside of another list, which is inside of the most outer list. So this whole list right here is what we want to grab first. And that's located at index 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. We'll go ahead and grab that. Now that I have this list, I can see that the list that has my target word, hello, is the second item in the list, meaning it's at index 1. And now I'm going to break this down again, so 0, 1, 2. And then I have a list of one element. So I can go ahead and just grab that again with a 0. And then finally I have the string hello. Okay, this is quite tricky, and you'll never really have a situation like this in real life, but when we're working with pandas, you will have to do things that are 2 levels deep, so just keep that in mind. Alright, then the next question was, given this nest dictionary, grab the word hello. Be prepared, this will be annoying / tricky. So this is pretty tricky, but let's go ahead and break it down step by step. The first thing we have to do is grab key 1. So if we look at D, we can actually just call for the keys themselves, and we actually only have one key in the most outside dictionary, K1. We will go ahead and call that. And then now I have a list of some elements, and notice that I want to grab this dictionary right here, which is at 0, 1, 2, 3. So index 3 of that list. So keep in mind we're kind of mixing list indexing with key value pairs of a dictionary. And then I have a dictionary again, and I want to grab the value at the key tricky. Then I have a list again, and I want to grab this dictionary, which is 0, 1, 2, 3. And then I have a dictionary again, and I want to grab at key target. And then finally I have a list, and I want to grab that last element at 0, 1, 2, 3, and that is hello. Okay, quite tricky, quite hard. So don't worry too much if you weren't able to figure this out quickly, because it is quite annoying / tricky, but hopefully you were able to actually understand the logic of this solution. Next question is, what is the main difference between a tuple and a list? Well, a tuple is immutable and a list is mutable. That's the main difference. After that, we wanted to create a function that grabs the email website domain from a string in the form user@domain.com. So for example, passing user@domain.com would return domain.com. Let's go ahead and create a function called domain_get. It will take in an email variable, which will be a string, and then we will return email.split, and we'll split on the @ symbol. Let's go ahead and see how that works if I just run that. Okay, great. So if I just run that, I end up getting split on this @ symbol, and I get a list back. Now, I want the second item in that list, meaning I want to go ahead and grab index 1 on top of that. And then if I run this, I get the right answer, that domain.com. Next up, we wanted to create a basic function that returns true if the word dog is contained in the input string. And again, don't worry about edge cases like punctuation being attached to the word dog, but we should account for capitalization. What we'll go ahead and do is create a function, def, find dog, takes in some variable. We can go ahead and call the variable s. And then we will say return. We'll check if dog is in s. In order to account for capitalization, I will go ahead and lower everything in s, and then I will split it so that it actually turns into a list of objects. And then when I run this, it ends up being true. Is there a dog there? Let me go ahead and show you what's actually happening when I pass in this string. I'll say s is equal to, is there a dog here? Run that. And then if I call s.lower, I will lowercase everything. And then if I say s.split, after that lower, I get this list. And then I'm finally just checking, is dog in that list? So those are the steps that I'm performing in this one-line statement. Then I want to create a function that counts the number of times the word dog occurs in a string. And again, we can ignore edge cases. We'll go ahead and say def, create a function called countDog, takes in a string st. We'll set our initial count to 0, and we'll say for word in, and again we'll say st lower split, in the same way we did for the last question, and then colon, if that word is equal to dog, we will go ahead and add 1 to the count. So we'll say count is equal to count plus 1. So you could say count is equal to count plus 1, or for shorthand, what some people like to do is just say plus equals 1, and that's the exact same thing. Then finally, I'll just return at the very end my count, which is the number of times I saw that word dog. Now if we go ahead and run this, we get the correct answer here. Next, we wanted to use lambda expressions in the filter function to filter out words from a list that don't start with the letter S. For example, we have seq is a list of words that should be filtered down to soup and then salad. Let's go ahead and see how we can do this. I'm going to say filter, and then I'm going to use a lambda expression. It's going to take in a word, and it's going to check if the first element in that word string is equal to S. And then I'm going to pass a sequence, and then finally I will cast the whole thing as a list. And that's the answer, soup and then salad. So again, for filter, this lambda expression or function, depending on what you pass in, needs to return a Boolean value, and we go ahead and filter out the sequence based off these Boolean values. Alright, here we are at the final problem. The problem statement is this. You are driving a little too fast and a police officer stops you. You'll need to write a function to return one of 3 possible results: no ticket, small ticket, or big ticket. If your speed is 60 or less, the result is no ticket. If the speed is between 61 and 80, inclusive, the result is small ticket. If the speed is 81 or more, the result is big ticket. And unless it is your birthday, which is encoded as a Boolean value in the parameters of the function, on your birthday, your speed can be 5 higher in all cases. Meaning, if it is your birthday, so if is_birthday is true, then the speed limit is raised 5 miles or 5 kilometers per hour for you. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We will delete this past statement. First thing we want to do is check if it is someone's birthday and adjust the speed accordingly. We'll say if is birthday, we'll say speeding is equal to speed minus 5. And then else speeding is just equal to speed. And then we'll go ahead and check now against speeding the conditions for the tickets. So again, if speeding is greater than 80, then that's a big ticket. So we'll go ahead and return the string big ticket. Whoops. Then we're going to say elif speeding is greater than 60. Well, that's going to then return a small ticket. And otherwise, we'll have else, which will just be return no ticket. And then we can go ahead and run this. So 81 would usually be a big ticket, but since it's your birthday, we'll say it's true. That should be a small ticket. And there we have it. And 81 false, well then that's definitely a big ticket. All right. Hope you enjoyed the solutions. Feel free to post any questions you have to the Q&A forums, and I'll be happy to help you out there. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.